Question, do you know exactly what Star-Lord's blaster looks like from Guardians of the Galaxy the movie? Now really try to picture it. Did it look like these? And which one of these is actually the real one? Does it really matter if it's absolutely identical to the movie? The real one was B, by the way. I don't think it matters that much, especially if you build something that's actually functional and it looks close enough that you think it's that, then I think you've done better than just building an identical prop. The Greek Gadget Guru made this blaster from a generic Nerf blaster, and it fires real firework mortar rounds, and it has a stun gun mounted in the bottom. If you haven't been watching his videos, here's a little montage of some of the stuff that he's been doing. So if you want to see more of that, head over to his channel, links in the description. I asked him if he'd let me customize it and paint it for him, and he agreed, so let's get started. One of the first problems with trying to make this thing look cool is it has this terrible little 80s pattern that I need to cover up. I could sand it off, but that's gonna take too long. I have an experiment to get the patterns to cover this stuff up with EVA foam. I'm gonna try to use aluminum foil. There, all the goofy stuff covered up. Now it's time to add goofy stuff. Oh yeah, and my paintbrush looks funny because it was way too big to do detail work, so I just chopped off most of the bristles. That way I had a small paintbrush, you know? Details on model kits are called greebles, or greeblies, or something. The point is you can make something look really fancy by adding fancy looking stuff to it, like this stuff from Star Wars kits, to make something look more awesome. Nothing wrong with making it look a little fancy. I wonder if anybody will notice the fact that I put a snow speeder inside of this thing. Well, I guess you will now since I told you. My hot glue was too hot, melted it. Let's see if I glued this thing together at all. All right, reinforce this. All right, it fits. Gotta hold it there until it stays. Reinforce this. I want to cut this out so that it's easier to load the things in. So I'm gonna try to line up to get a matching, oh, that's in the way, a matching port to make it easier to get that, the mortar round in and out of here, you know? Well, I guess not out because you're shooting it out, but I want to make the holes even. So that's why I'm taping, that way I have my location to cut out. Getting real close to painting time. Since most of this stuff is permanently attached inside, I have to do a little bit of taping and then I can start sanding some stuff. I'm gonna use some 220 with light pressure. It shouldn't leave enough scratches that you can see it through the paint. And realistically, you only need to sand the parts that are gonna be exposed to abuse. 400 is better, but I'm gonna be priming and then putting multiple layers on. But you should probably use 400. Oh, and make sure that you don't touch where you sanded because your finger oils will mess it up. Oh, and make sure you get all the dust off because if you don't get the dust off, your paint won't stick, or at least not very well. If you can't not touch where you're gonna sand, put gloves on. A really good way to make sure there's no dust left is to soak a little rag with some thinner and wipe it down. And it also takes any oils off that could be remaining, and it makes sure that your paint will stick really well. Universal bonding primer works awesome for getting anything to stick to plastic. This stuff is great. By Rust-Oleum, not sponsored. You should think of primer as paint glue. It's like an adhesion promoter. It makes the paint stick. You don't need a huge amount, you just need enough to make the paint stick. Now, there are some primers that aren't that way, but that's not what I'm using. This is to make the paint stick to the plastic. Pro tip, I'm gonna paint this piece first, because I can. And I wanna show you some of the most awesome paint I've ever used. It's Model Master's Buffing Metalizer, and you spray this stuff on, you let it dry, and then when you buff it, it looks like metal. More than any other spray paint I've used. It's really incredible. Watch. Whoop. Gotta keep the cancer out. Might be a little difficult to tell on the camera, but that just looks like spray paint. After it's dry, you buff it. It takes some time, but it makes it look like metal.
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 It's made of metal.
It's made of metal.
Look at it now. It actually looks like metal. It's the whole point. It's a metalizer. How cool is that? Next step, base coat. Don't forget to hit the hard to reach spots first. By the time you get all those hit, the whole thing's pretty much gonna be painted. If you try to paint the main thing and then hit the little spots, you're probably gonna get runs. Pro tip. There's a lot of pro tips in this video. Probably shouldn't say pro tip because I'm not a pro. Semi-pro tips. There we go. Nothing speeds up the drying process like fresh air coming in from outside with a fan and a hairdryer. Spray paint cans usually lie to you also. They say they dry in 30 minutes, but that's just enough that you don't get paint on your fingers. They usually take a couple of hours before they're ready to be touched. Makes the process time consuming. Time for tape for color number 2. Now that I'm all taped off, I'm gonna try an experiment. This might work, or it might fail miserably. It's just paint. If it doesn't work, you can always just fix it afterwards. And now the experiment. I'm gonna tape right on top of the wet paint, and then I'm gonna do the next layer. See if I can run through this real fast. It's probably gonna take it's definitely gonna take some of the paint off, but there's black paint underneath, so maybe it'll look weathered and cool. Find out in a minute. Try painting this real quick. All right. It's starting to look like a thing. I'm gonna do this one real quick. All right. See how I didn't get the silver on there very heavy? And it is like a different color? That's what I was going for. So I basically thought I was ready to weather, but now I decided to paint one more thing because I kind of have this rule, and it's worked out so far that if I don't feel like there's enough color separation, I shouldn't rely on weathering to make it look cool. I'm gonna paint the little AT-AT leg here and this silver block here with metallic charcoal. Then we're gonna weather it. Reuse, instead of recycle, shopping bags. If you rip the handles apart, these things usually split really easy down the side, just like that. And then you can use them to cover a really massive area without using a lot of tape. Ta-da! See the difference? I think this is a good decision. Is that better? I think that's better. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. As soon as these dry, it's time to weather it. Now I can weather, but I want to do something really cool for the barrel tip that is on the Screen Accurate version. You don't have to have an airbrush for this, but it is the best tool for the job, so I'm going to try it, see if I can make that thing look awesome. It'll suck if I screw up, because it's going to take a lot of time to undo, because it's that buffing metalizer paint. The color of dirt, grime, stuff. Basically a weathering color. Pretty much it's just dark brown. And I like it, so this is what I'm gonna use. Layer 1, dirt. Now it's time for chipping, or scratches, whatever you want to call it.
Metal.
The bright stuff.
Metal.
This is foil metallic Krylon in a cup. Now, I need to get it real dry, hence dry brush, right? Should be dry enough that you can barely even tell that it's doing anything. I think that side looks pretty good. My brush is clogged. That's the nice thing about brushes that only cost a few cents. You can get a new one. I think that pretty much does it. I went a little overboard, but I wanted it to be dirty. And it's scratched up. And it's still functional. And I think it looks like Star-Lord's blaster. Or at least close enough that makes no difference. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. If you want to see this thing fire, make sure you go check out his channel. That way you can see it in actual action. I mean, like firework action, not just the phaser stun gun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, thanks for watching. If you want to catch stuff in advance before it actually comes out, make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. I'll see you next time. It leaves a mark.